What's up, guys? Hi, guys. We're back for our first episode of The Exchange. Woo woo. Yes.
Exchange.
Like this.
You are
Ariel. Sorry,
I'm Lori and
Serena.
So we're just gonna jump right in today. Today's topic is relationships.
Yes, we've all had them. Not just romantic ones too. We're talking about friendships, family, anybody, anyone you meet, acquaintances, whatever it is. So not just romantic. I feel like a lot of people think it's a romance.
Yeah, everybody's like, I'm gonna like this guy, and then, you know.
With that voice too.
With that exact voice,
Right.
you know it, you've done it.
You've done it.
So,
I would just like to talk about a topic. I'm not going to disclose if I'm in a relationship or not or anything like that, but I think it's just really interesting. It's an interesting place right now for talking about the dynamic of romantic relationships. Where we're at in the world right now, I feel like we don't take the value of people really seriously. We tend to just like use people for momentary reasons, and we have all these apps like Bumble,
Tinder,
Grindr, like the worst. Grindr. That's
Can we
what
talk about Tinder for a second?
Yes.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, you're
but
good.
I think that swipe idea is just terrible.
Yeah,
like,
it's
so
really
judgmental.
superficial.
Like it's all based on photos and like a bio that no one takes seriously.
Right.
And if you do, props to you. But if you don't, and you're like, I'm just hot, hit me up. It's
It could be really superficial, and that's kind of like basically ties into what I'm saying is that it's a really superficial like way we go about relationships these days. It's all about just looks and what people can offer you, like where you work, do you work in the tech industry, how much money you make, but it's not the value of a real true like relationship and that dynamic of really getting to know someone. Could they add value to your life, not just like, oh, could they really F really good, or you know what I mean? It's like really about like a sexual nature, which I personally don't, agree with, or I don't really personally like connect with that part of things. Like it doesn't have to just be about sexual desires. It's about like building a relationship. Are you gonna add value to me in the future? Like, do you add value to my life right now? Like, I feel like sometimes like I've been in like relationships where it didn't really add value to who I was. It kind of was draining and pulled a lot of energy out of my life because I was always wondering like, oh, what is that person thinking? Or how do they feel about me? It's not like you should feel good in that relationship, and you should feel secure. Like, yes, I do love myself, but sometimes like when you're sharing like love or an intimate like relationship with someone, it is about like you and that person and how you feel in that relationship, not just being like one-sided. So that's kind of like what I wanted to talk about a little bit is like, how do you guys feel about like today's generation of like relationships and how that's going?
I think from what you're saying, that's why, in my perspective, I think it's best to start relationships from friendships. Because then all that worry goes away, like, do they like me? Like, I'm certain that you like me as a person, So for me, I'm like, who are my friends? Like, it's okay to have your friends out, and like who you want to protect in that way emotionally. You would rather it be based off of friendship first. And then it grows into something. Because I
agree. I think the power of friendships to set the tone of a relationship is really powerful, because what it does is it removes the sexuality out of the relationship. Not totally and completely in terms of attraction. That's normal. Attraction is normal. That's not something that we can suppress. But I think what's really important is getting to know people at the heart of who they are. It's important to get to know if you can trust them, if they're reliable, if they're, loyal, or even just nice people. I think people overlook the idea that a partner needs to be someone who's nice, someone that treats you well. And I know, I feel like a lot of times in the society we live in today, it's so disposable. People are very disposable, and the dating scene almost mimics that philosophy, that you're just here today, gone tomorrow. Whereas to me, that's not a real relationship. For me,
YOLO.
For me, my relationships first need to be based on Christ, or have a Christ-centered relationship. And what that basically means is it's not anything super weird or deep and spiritual. It's just the fact that the love of Christ for me is the platform for every other relationship that I have in my life. It sets a tone for kindness, loving kindness, for humility, for patience, for acceptance. And I think those are key things that are foundational for me, for the friendship first. Then we can build to romance later,
Okay, that's romance right there.
That's
what up, done up. That's awesome. Like I really like that perspective of like today's, because old school, I mean, not saying that old school was like the holy grail of relationships, but I think that people took their time to get to know people in the past, like when our parents were growing up. Like it was a very what's the word I'm looking for? Like
Traditional? Oh.
Not traditional, but kind of like a, not naive, but almost like a innocence. There was like some innocence in the way that they went about things. I think that the world today over-sexualizes women and also men, like really
And
things
these
like
apps.
that. Yeah,
These apps,
really
they're
support
too much.
it's really
Doing
about
the
the
most.
space.
Doing
So
the
yeah,
most.
that's kind of what my input
Yeah.
is on like what I think for myself would be nice if we moved away from that and like focused on a real true like
Yeah.
you know what I mean, genuine nature
Totally.
of getting to know someone. That would be nice.
In person.
What are ways what are ways
Yeah, that's what
you guys think that we can, I don't know, counteract the culture? Like what are ways as individuals could we go about finding positive relationships or cultivating positive relationships despite sort of like the climate of the day, like the philosophy of the day? You know, how do we kind of go in another angle and get to the core of meaningful relationships despite what society says?
I guess my perspective is like working on inward. I feel like, not to be cliche, but the way you are and the way you treat yourself and you expect someone to treat you is the way that they will treat you. I feel like in past times I allowed people to treat me a certain way because I didn't believe that I was good enough. So I feel like you don't have to go out and seek someone, but it's all about like the way you treat yourself and the way that you treat others is a great reflection of how someone else will see you. And they're like, well, I know Ariel's not gonna stand for that. I know that I can't just go up to Ariel and be like, hit her up at 2 a.m. like, hey, what's good? What's poppin'? Like, let me come over.
Right. Shut down those DMs at 2
All that
a.m.
time.
Shut down marriage.
Booty call hours. What is it? After
Shut down.
11 p.m.
I feel like after 11
Answer
is like
those
booty
texts.
call hours.
And if the person who's DMing you, they have family and kids, stop it.
Oh,
Right.
Don't
Yeah,
even
that's
respond.
a big
No, because we can pretend, but those are real things. And we know that people are creeping and doing all those kind of things. And like, you have to guard yourself sometimes, you know, and it's not a bad thing to be guarded. It's about using wisdom, you know, like being smart, like, oh, should I like hit him back? Even just to say, oh, no, thanks. No, because then you're creating a gateway for other things to get through that you don't really want in your life. You just have to use wisdom and be careful. You don't have to be super safe about everything you do or scared, but just think, use common sense. You know what I mean? Common sense.
If it
is
feels
like,
wrong, then it probably is wrong. Probably is
Like,
like go with that gut
okay.
instinct.
Yeah, and that's some things that really, like, oh, he's gonna be better. Oh, I can change him. Like, I felt those things in the past, like so many red flags, and it was just like, why didn't I? And then when you get to that point in the relationship, you're like, damn, like, I totally should have, I saw this coming, but I thought that I was different. But you should never have to, like, if somebody's set in their ways already, then there's no way that you're gonna change them. Like, they have to be.
That's it.
Who like, it's almost like, hey, if somebody is like, speaks Spanish, right, and I speak English. And I'm like, oh, I can teach him some English, but it depends on like what speed he's gonna go at. Is he gonna go at the speed that I want him to go to learn English? Like, it's almost like a dynamic of somebody already presents themselves one way, and they can say, yeah, I want to learn English. Like, that's something that I want to do.
Right.
But like, it depends on like how fast they're gonna learn. Do they have the dedication? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it like a daily practice for them? Like, there's so many things that we expect from people, but I think it comes to a point where you have to meet someone where you're at,
Right.
like in your life. Not saying that you're higher or lower, but just like someone that can like you can resonate with. I think that's important.
Yeah, agreed. They definitely have to want to change for themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Some people, I know I take that role on sometimes, like I want to be that person for you that's going to help you be better and change and grow and progress in your life, but I can't do anything if you don't want to do it. Like, I could be your support system, like your cheerleader, but if you don't want to do anything, or if that person doesn't want to change, or they're too stuck in their ways, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So it's a very draining position to be in.
It is, and I think especially, I mean, I don't know, women, hopefully some guys are watching too, or will watch. What's up? Shout out to the guys.
Social
Right. But I think it's important sometimes for women, it's very easy for us to get like caught up in trying to change a guy. You know, and trying to change him. Or like you were saying, oh, I can make him into this. And the thing about it is, oftentimes we try to reach down and pull somebody up, and what happens, we get dragged down, right down there with them. And so it's about being again, just kind of having that common sense and being really vigilant about, and being really honest about your needs in the relationship. That it's okay that you have certain needs or expectations. Like, I need someone who's reliable, kind of what we were talking about earlier, just some sort of core attributes to a person's humanity, even in our relationships with our families. Sometimes, there might be conflict or whatever, but at the core of it, you have to just reach for the things that are sustainable, reach for the things that make sense for you in your life. And you can't always just be giving so much that you don't have anything left to give, and no one's pouring into you.
Yeah.
Right? I've been in situations like that before, and you get tired of that. It's very draining.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And just to sway it off from just I guess emotional romantic relationships, I was having a conversation with Serena about this sack. Do you mind talking about that sack? What that is?
Yeah. So short story. My mother thought of this idea. It's a gunny sack, and those. When you do those beanbag races, you're jump in, and it's the kids are oh, let's race. One of those sacks. I'm not sure what those are called.
A potato sack.
Is it a potato sack?
It's an old school, but potato sack.
The sack races thing.
Yeah. My mom called it gunny sack. I don't know why. So that's what I call it. But she said once that gunny sack is full, and how it gets full is how people put the emotions in there, and you're taking it on. You're holding their weight. So when that overflows and it's too heavy for you, that's your breaking point. That's when you know that, I can't do it anymore. I can't carry you anymore. That's right. So yesterday we were talking about that, and I think it helped with some perspective.
Yeah, because I feel like in some relationships, not just romance, but just also friendship dynamics, sometimes you want to be there for your friend. Say if a friend is going through something and you're going to listen to that friend, right? But that's the dynamic of your friendship. I've had friendships where I was just a listener. And I'm okay, cool. But when it was time for me, it wasn't about me trying to share anything, but something for me to get out of that relationship. Hey girl, let's go out, let's, go somewhere, let's go hiking, whatever the case may be, but that person wasn't available to actually hang out with me. They only hit me up when they needed something. Hey girl, you want to come over? I'm going through something. And I'm the type of person where I'm really open, and I want to listen to people because personally, that makes me feel good when I'm helping someone else, or just being an ear for someone. That I guess gives me joy. But I wasn't getting anything out of the relationship, and I feel like some relationships that I've had, they repeated because I never stood up for myself. I never, you know what I mean? I never, my sack was getting so full, but I was it's okay. I'm at my neck, and I'm at least I'm still breathing. But at the same time, even in friendships, you have to be able to give yourself something too.
That's right.
And it's not being selfish. It's not oh, okay, that person's not giving me anything, so I can't, be in this relationship. But you also have to be exchanging the same energy, exchanging the same, I think that's super important, especially in friendships, because friendships also is a reflection of our romantic relationships and also our relationships with our family. I feel a lot of things happen to us when we're so young. That's when we're sponges and we're absorbing all this information.
Right.
And we kind of learned these habits and stuff from our parents or our cousins, whoever we were around when we were younger, and it really sets the tone. Yes, for me, I really love God, and that sets the tone for me right now, but it took me a long time because the dynamic of what my family life was, I think that is super important, that you can't let your past determine who you are going to be in the future, because that does overspill. If you don't take care of that, it starts to show in your relationship.
About that.
Yeah.
I think that stuff out of that gunny sack.
Yeah.
Reciprocity is key in relationships, and it is a give and take. It is an exchange, and and also, like Ariel was saying, dealing with relationship dynamics in the home. That sets the tone for how you're going to grow up. A lot of how we are relationally, even romantically, that tone is set because of things that happen to us in our home or as we develop in our households. And also, I know sometimes culture and things like that can play a role. I know culture has played a role in my upbringing. Liberian culture played a role in my upbringing. Also, Christian culture played a role. Being my dad's from the South, the church playing a role, and Black spirituality playing a role in particular, or spirituality in general playing a role. But I think that if we're not careful about doing the self-work that we need to do we do carry a lot of the bad. You have to take the meat and spit out the bones, even when it comes to families, even when it comes to friendships.
Yeah.
And you have to do the self-work. What I find is that a lot of people, and again, kind of like the climate of the day, nobody wants to do the work. Nobody wants to do the work. Everybody thinks it's a microwave. Everything is an IG relationship. Everything is a Tinder relationship, swipe left type of vibe. And the thing is that that's not sustainable because people don't want to flash the microscope on the inside of their own heart and really deal with their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end up transferring all of that nonsense into the next relationship or into their friendships even, or into their, even into their future families, unfortunately. A lot of people don't deal with their stuff. And it just spirals and builds like a snowball. And then it just explodes. So we got to do the self-work. I think that's a huge part of relationship. Relationship building is not just nurturing the relationship itself, but dealing with yourself as an individual as part of nurturing that relationship.
Yeah. I agree.
Just a question on that.
Yeah.
What method, because everybody's different, everyone's going to go through that. If you guys have, like, your gunny sack full, everyone's going to do it differently to try to self-work. What methods, do you guys have any ideas on how someone can do that?
Wow. I would say take some time alone. You know, alone time is not bad.
Right.
To be alone doesn't necessarily mean that you have to isolate yourself, because that's sort of the extreme of that. You know, dealing with depression, which are very real things that we'll talk about in this show eventually. But being alone, a lot of times people go from relationship to relationship. They're like serial monogamous all the time, but they're not taking any time to heal. Like, what does it mean to be comfortable with going to a restaurant by myself? What does it mean to be comfortable going to the movies alone, or cooking at home, or just being in your own space and not, a lot of people don't want to deal with the voices in their own head, but that's a part of the work. So I would say taking just some tangible things. I would say taking some alone time and not being afraid to be alone. Finding your own personal interests, not just piggybacking off of your friends or what they want or what they're doing, but identify who you are by nurturing your own interests. You know what I mean? I think those are really cool ways. One, being alone, nurturing personal interests, getting a sense of spirituality, whatever that is for you. For me, it's Christ, but for you, maybe meditation or whatever those things are for you. You have to seek those things out.
Yeah. I think also, too, is to be honest. I think that is probably one of the top things. If you're honest about what you're going through and who you are, it clears a lot of the air. I feel like a lot of people carry burdens around because they feel like no one's going to accept them, or no one's, say if someone is dealing with depression, or someone, you know, was raped in the past or something like that, and people feel like they have to suppress those things because they're afraid of what other people might think. I think that self-love is really important, and just to be honest about what you're going through, because I feel like when you're honest and you put that intention out there, if those people don't want to accept you, there's going to be other people that will come in their life and embrace you for that. So I feel like honesty is key. You should never be ashamed of what you went through.
That's right.
And because it is a reflection of like what makes you stronger in life. Like, I've been through a lot of things in my past, and I was kind of ashamed to talk about them. So I just would, you know, hide it under the rug and sweep it under the rug because, you know, I thought no one was going to accept me. And what it ended up doing, some of the relationships that I built broke because I wasn't real about who I was because I was so afraid. So a lot of that comes from, like, you know, self-hate and just not being able to, like, you know, really love yourself and be honest around, like, honest about who you are around people you love, because if they truly love you, they will accept you for who you are. And yeah, so honesty and acceptance, I feel like, are two ways to really start walking or working up towards who you want to be and bringing in those healthy relationships.
And to go off of what Lori said, when you start going into being alone and learning your interests, you will meet people with the same interests and like-minded things. So if you're wondering, how do I build these relationships? Start with you. It all starts with you. Once you go to, you know, whatever it is, a basketball team or a church or whatever it is, you will find people who think the same and who will accept you. So I just want to throw that out there if anyone's wondering, how do I build these relationships?
Right, yeah. That's good. That's good. Definitely. Yeah, so we love you guys, man. We are super excited about the exchange. And again, please like us, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave us some comments below.
Message, whatever you guys want to do. If you guys want to throw messages at us, we will read it. So don't even worry about it. We're not the type who's going to be not accessible. We want to hear from you guys.
Totally accessible. Feel free to write or ask any questions, who want to be brought up in the videos, we're definitely
Yeah.
here for you
Stories,
guys.
totally.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for joining the exchange, guys. We'll see you
Thanks.
next time.